Hello, everyone. I'd like to bring to you now another episode of Treat Williams Behind the Scenes from one of our pre-show meetings that we had prior to his appearance coming on here on SocialFlight Live. Treat was one of the most remarkable individuals I have ever met. And so with the permission of his family, we are releasing parts of these recordings that took place in preparation for our SocialFlight Live shows that featured Treat Williams. And so we're going to join this one just as Treat was beginning to tell one of his stories. So sit back and enjoy.
From the back seat, Chris goes, "Treat, you really are an outdoorsy kind of a guy." That's all he said the whole trip home. You really are an outdoorsy kind of a guy. He is actually one of the funniest people I've ever spent time with.
Really?
You'd be surprised at how funny and dry he is. He's very, very funny. We had a lot of fun. It was a great time. We still talk about it.
And had you already spent like a lot, did you already like know them really closely before that and had spent a lot of time with them before that trip?
I didn't know Chris well, but we were both Broadway dancers, at one time. So we had that in common. There's a bond of kids who've done Broadway shows, and he was Ronnie Walken, the dancer, before he was Chris Walken, the actor. He was he's one of the best tap dancers I've ever seen. White.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah, go watch his, watch a movie. I'll tell you what, write it down, watch Pennies from Heaven with Steve Martin.
Yeah, I know that movie.
Chris does a solo dance in a bar, a tap, in his underwear. In his underwear.
I know the movie. I just don't remember that. Wow.
Yeah, he was extraordinary in it. His dancing is wonderful. And then he did. He and Johnny Travolta had a little dance they did in Hairspray. But I had done the movie Hair, so we were both musical kids. I had started in Hair and did a lot of singing and dancing and that. And so we knew each other. Bob and I had been for 2 months just recently finished Once Upon a Time in America together.
Yep.
So Bob saved me from being gasolined and burned to death in one scene. So we got to know each other and liked each other. And he called me and said, "You want to go to Cuba? Would you fly us?" And I said, "Sure."
Awesome.
That's before anybody could go. We had what are called artistic visas. It's the only reason we were allowed to go. How's my airplane coming back there? Just wondering behind you.
Oh, we're about to release a couple new videos. It's coming.
Oh, great. Send them to me. I make sure I got to know where to get them or watch them.
You got to come down and visit. We got to come up and visit.
I've news for you since then. My fuel tank is here. That's going into the Cub as we speak. But the weather's been so not flyable, so cold, so bad for engines. And the Aztec, we found the left engine's kaput. It's bad.
What kaput? How?
Well, the first thing was I told Charlie, my partner, I said, "Charlie, I'm telling you, I'm having to push a whole lot of right pedal on takeoff, which I wasn't doing this for 5 years." He said, "I don't notice it." And I said, "Well, go to full power, but don't hold the brakes. Go to full power and just be aware of your feet." And finally he said, yeah, I am starting to notice that now, Okay. Then he said to me, "Treat, I'm noticing on the run up that the mag drop is almost at the past 150 RPM." And I said, "Well, I don't like that either." So we took to our mechanic and he said, "Guys, everything's worn out. It's 2,700 hours. You're way past TBO. It's just so anyway, we're sending the block up to be rebuilt up in I guess in Canada. There's a place that's really well known and very good that rebuilt. And the problem is you can't get a remanded engine from the manufacturer because they're 6 or 8 months behind. Everybody wants a new engine. Yeah. So we're having it rebuilt in Canada. So that'll be down. Unfortunately, I won't fly it again until I get back from my show.
What kind of engine is it?
It's a 250 horsepower.
Lycon?
Yeah. ISO 530, I think it is. 540.
540. Yep.
And it's it's fuel injected. It was fine, I thought, until this recently. It just started to deteriorate on us. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you want to, what it's 2,700 from overhaul.
yeah,
Total
it's going
time?
to be 30 grand approximately.
No, I meant
Oh,
hours.
from major, from overhaul or from new. I'm not sure how much it was flown. It wasn't I came into the airplane late, so I haven't ever looked at the actual logbooks from who had it
Yeah.
before Charlie.
I mean, I work with Mike Bush, so we counsel people all the time. But right now, we're counseling people not to overhaul if you really, really don't have to. And engines are very, every situation's different. But I mean, they're very compartmentalized.
And we trust these guys. They're in your neck of the woods, I think. They're over in New Hampshire,
Mhm.
right on the lake there. And they have an Aztec and they have a Chieftain that they use for hire. And I don't think they tell us we needed a new engine unless we needed it. And they're not getting anything out of it. They're not doing the engine.
Mm.
They'll put it in. They'll put it back in again. But I think it's time. We were having problems with the number 3 jug was always running hot. We always, in summertime, we almost always had the cow flap wide open, even in cruise.
Well, if your hours are really high, then it makes sense. If your hours are low, then I don't, it's always I always advise.
I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. I mean, if you take good care of an engine, you can go. My Cub's probably thousands of hours past TVO.
Yeah,
This little 4-cylinder Continental running great. So
that's awesome. Totally awesome.
yeah.
So what other kind of stories do you think you want to get into? Like what areas are good? I think
I like
everyone
talking
always.
about flying in general too. I just like a discussion. I don't know who your audience is, but I would really love to see it be a prerequisite that I'm just reading these aviation accidents over and over again. I'm reading, I'm seeing these guys on YouTube that are very good at breaking down what happened, and a lot of them are guys that can't seem to fly an airplane when the autopilot's not on in IMC.
Yeah.
Instrument rated. There's a guy who killed himself in his citation out in Utah, coming out of Salt Lake. There was nothing wrong with the airplane. His autopilot, I think, failed on him, and he panicked, and he couldn't fly the airplane IMC. I was like, I'd kind of like to have young pilots be able to fly the airplane well enough on the gauges to get themselves out of trouble into a place that's got a couple miles and 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer to that is, but I'd like to. I don't know who your audience is, but they're probably guys who already know that anyway and are way past.
No, not necessarily. So I mean, our audience is obviously going to be pilots, but it's all over the place. And I think what we should talk about stuff like that. I think everybody always wants to see a mixture of kind of general hangar talk with talking about your stories and mixing in the stories that are really unique, of course, like you said, that the one with Bob and Chris, and things that they're not going to hear anywhere else, because it's kind of like your experience, your inner circle, your star links, and all that kind of stuff, because that makes for good. That's always stuff that no one's going to hear anywhere else.
And I don't think of those things as anything more than checking some friends flying. That's the thing.
I know, but remember, for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people online, they're like, they don't get to hear that anywhere else.
I gave John Travolta his first, I think, 2 rides in a small plane. I took him up. I took him up. I thought I only took him up in my Cherokee 180, but he says I got him sick doing aerobatics. So I must have taken him up in my clip wing down in New Jersey at Sky Manor Airport, because he said, you made me sick. I threw up, or almost threw up. And
were you guys doing work together at the time?
We were singing and dancing in a Broadway musical with the Andrews Sisters. And I was John's understudy in Grease on Broadway before I took over the lead. So while I was playing Zuko on Broadway, he was doing it in the movie.
Have you ever painted out? I mean, the hierarchy of of everything that came from hair is just amazing.
Well, Grease too. Grease also. In so many of it. Richard Gere, John, Jeff Conaway, what's his name from Dirty Dancing. So many of us came out of Broadway, out of Grease on Broadway. But on my days off from Grease, I would I would take the subway down to my car, which was parked on a pier, and I would drive out to Sky Manor Airport in New Jersey. It was about an hour and a half drive, and I'd go fly my Cub all over the map. In fact, one of the things that was kind of cool is, and I'll talk about this, we can talk about this is something that I jot down that can ask to be up the Cub, is that I was flying it during, no, it wasn't, I'm sorry. I had the Seneca when it was during the, when Reagan fired all of the controllers.
Oh.
And so, but it wasn't that. It was that the Cub didn't have a radio. So I would call Danbury Airport and say, could you give me the gun? I'll be in about 4 o'clock. And there was a standard way of entering a pattern that, you know, very few people knew about. I think you either remain 500 or 1,000 feet, somebody would know, above the pattern altitude, but you fly the pattern. Then they know you're there. And then you get the gun. And it's green or it's red. And and I can't even remember now whether blinking red. I mean, I had to learn this stuff when I learned to fly.
Everybody still learned it. No one remembers it.
The guys in the tower are so excited to be able to use it. Like, oh man, we get to use the light gun, you know. And you'd get a blinking red that meant you're about to be released into the pattern, and then you'd start down, and you'd start down onto the downwind, and then you get the green light. The steady green meant, come on, go ahead and land. And then when you were taxiing, you get a red light to stop if there is a crossing runway, and you get a green light to cross the runway. That's how you communicated.
That's awesome.
I better look that up before we talk. We used to have to study that stuff, you know. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
So there's that. I mean, it'll probably just be like this. Well, just things will come up.
That's all we're doing. Yeah.
You know, there's 16 years.
Unless you want to think between now and tomorrow night about anything that's like, cool.
Well, some of the most joyous flying was taking, folks up in the T6. That was a lot of fun. You know, the 6 was my aerobatic baby. So
yeah,
everybody got sick in that. No one was safe with me. I know when they got quiet, we were in trouble. Isn't this fun? Isn't this great? You hear nothing in the back. You want to head back? Yeah, I'm not feeling so good. And nausea in an airplane, it's once it starts, it doesn't stop. You've got to get them down to the ground. You do not want to clean out a T6. You can't get to it, So
oh my God.
But I took all the cast of Everwood, my show Everwood, up all the time. I was flying over the Uinta mountain range, and it was just beautiful flying, I have to say. A lot of fun. So there was some great fun stuff.
Do you when you're heading out west in a month or so, do you bring the Seneca out there? I know your partner's in it, so.
No, it's an Aztec.
Oh, Aztec, sorry.
That's right. No, I don't, for a couple of reasons. Well, I don't want to talk about medical because I don't want anybody at the FAA snooping in.
No.
But because of the new, Canada hasn't caught up with basic med.
Right.
And so if you have basic med, they don't want you flying in Canada yet. They're not quite cool with that.
Yeah, I hope they change that soon.
I don't know if you could fly your own plane there, but what I did was I got a Canadian add-on, which was it's a green license they give you that proves you can fly there, and then you can fly a Canadian airplane. But I got to tell you, I would rent an airplane from a flying club. It was a 172. Where was I going to go? I wasn't going to go out over water in a single anymore. I don't trust that. So go down to Victoria for lunch, and there's so much paperwork and so many. Just flying a VFR flight, you have to file a flight plan. You have no idea how lucky we are to fly in this country, because there's so much red tape. It's like, I don't want to. I'd rather go get in a kayak. I don't, I'll go do a couple touch and goes with somebody, or if a lot of guys want me to go up with them, because a lot of them aren't instrument. They're not current, and they'll have me go up and pretend to be the controller and put them through the mill, as a safety pilot. I'll do that with them in their airplanes, but I don't miss it that much when I'm there. I'm there to work, And
How many months are you out there?
I'm out there 3.
Okay.
Exactly 3.
That's not
But
bad.
you know, the thing of getting the airplane, you had to go through these books and sign these documents, and when you took it out, and where were you going, and then you had to talk to controllers if you wanted to fly in that. They have an outer tower and an inner tower at and so there was just and all the reporting points were visual reporting points on the island, Lake Pagasaki. I don't know where that is, or a large fir tree on the coast, so it's like somebody coming into Teterboro and somebody saying, I want you to hold at the Alpine Tower. Everybody coming in, flying out of Teterboro knows where the Alpine Tower is.
Yeah, but not coming in.
No, somebody's coming from Massachusetts for the first time. Where's the Alpine Tower? What do you mean? You don't know where the Alpine Tower is? God damn it. There's New York controllers,
Follow the cliff. Look at the tower.
Look about 5 miles north of the bridge. See that tower? Yeah. Hold at it. Stay out of my head. I'm busy. Yeah, there's a couple. The other one I wanted to tell you about, one of the stupid. I should talk about. Just before I got my instrument rating, the day afterwards, I decided I was getting it right away. I was coming back from Long Island in my Cherokee 180, which was capable of IFR flight, but I wasn't. And I got back to the city, and it had come down, deteriorated the weather, and Teterboro looked socked in. And the only way I get in was that I had my ADF needle tuned to ABC Tower, which is just off the end of runway 19. And if that hadn't been there, I don't think I would have had to turn around and go find someplace at night in crappy, that kind of, that John Kennedy weather, basically. And that scared the shit out of me. That was my scary flight where I said, I shouldn't be flying in this stuff until I get rating. And so I jumped on my instrument rating and had it within a couple months. That was pretty scary. So I'll talk about that too. That was dumb.
It's gonna be a ton of fun. Remind me also for us getting together at some point. When do you leave to head out to Vancouver Island?
Not for a while. Not till the 15th of March. But I've got the 172. The school that Charlie has a flight school here, and he said I could take whenever whenever it's free. I can go ahead and jump. I can come over in the 172 sometime just for fun, just to fly. I haven't flown in. Just terrible flying weather lately, though. I heard one airplane yesterday for the first time, and I don't know how long overhead. Very few guys flying right now.
And the crazy part is, even with all the weather stuff, we were all set to get to Alton Bay this weekend for the ice runway, and then poof, it gets too warm for it.
Not now.
Not maybe today they've opened. Yesterday we wanted to go on Saturday, and it got too warm.
Is that a lake? Is that a lake in New Hampshire?
So Alton Bay is on near Laconia, and
that's where the airplane is.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
those are our guys. Laconia
runway there that they open every year. Have you ever landed on that? It's amazing. They plow this beautiful ice runway.
I've seen pictures. I've never done it. I should do it.
It's so much fun.
What do they say for braking action?
Braking action non-existent, reported by a Seneca.
0. Have you done it? Is it kind of a weird experience, or is it fun?
It's fun. I've been there a few times. I loved it. Every time I've gone, it's all sorts of planes land there, and sometimes if there's a crusty top layer, then you'll have a tiny bit of traction, but otherwise, of course, you don't. But it's fun. It's a winter carnival. They have a lot of cool stuff. That was the first time I ever realized that there's snowmobilers also doing stuff, and I saw these snowmobiles that go over open water, and I've never seen that. They like go over the ice, and then they come to this section of open water, and they go for long distances, like 200 yards. And I asked someone, how does that work? They said it works great unless they slow down.
Well, it's like the airplanes you see in the little videos landing and hitting the water. It's like yeah. What was I just gonna? Oh, I gotta tell you, one thing about the Sixes, I had a friend, Scott, who he also had a T6, and we were flying him back from the Midwest here. Our mechanic was also a pilot, so we were just screwing around and bringing the airplanes back east. And somewhere around, somewhere around, we were going to land in Ohio, in Cleveland, which I love that airport because it's on the water, you know.
Yeah.
And the Rock and Roll Hall
of Fame.
Right under your approach. So we're going to land in Cleveland. So we go out and we're out over the lake. And we started dogfighting, and we were dogfighting. And he goes, "Hey, I'm getting low on fuel. I didn't notice that. We got to get down, man. I'm low on fuel. Just find us the nearest airport." So I turned up. I had what at the time? What was that? The first moving map, Argus, I think it was called.
Yeah.
I had an Argus. I turned it up. I looked, and all the airports had a C in front of them. And I said, "What is this? There's all C this and C Alpha Delta." He said, "Dude, we're over Canada. We got to get out of here." We had flown north along the lake, and we were over the border dogfighting. We didn't realize it. So we had to fly back over the lake. We got back into luckily, radar didn't catch us. We could have been in trouble for that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I guess it's okay if you clip the border, but you don't land. I don't know what the rules are in terms of that. Since we're
yeah, the real rules, you're supposed to be on a flight plan if you're crossing the border. Other than that, who knows, you know?
Oh,
it's a different world now. You can't get away with anything.
He's a 777 pilot. He was crazy in that airplane. He was crazy. He zeroed that thing out, and he would come right in, dive it at 230 miles an hour, and then he'd just do a loop from ground level.
Wow.
You got to know you're going to pull it out of that loop good. You know, he was crazy. I didn't do that stuff. I was a nervous Nelly. I did all my aerobatics at 8,000, 7,000.
Hey, that's smart. That's why you're still here.
Man, I don't know why I'm still here. I'm lucky to be here. I know. Anyway, no, I'm not leaving for a while. So if you get that going, I want to see it.
Oh, well, this isn't going to be going before then, but I definitely want to get together. Maybe that or Heidi and I'll come up as your wife, you said, already left for the West Coast, or?
No, Pam leaves. I'm driving them down to New York City tomorrow, and she and Ellie, they found an apartment in LA. I'm driving them down to the city, and then I will I'll come back, and I'm here by myself for I don't know, for about a month, I guess.
Okay, and we will come and head out to dinner with you and enjoy some. We'll keep you busy.
Yeah. I'll try to think of some other things, but you know, I spent time with other, you know, a couple of things were fun. You know, Chris Reeve and I would fly all the time, and he would cheat me down to a little airport when he was at Williamstown. We'd go to a little airport there just south of Williamstown, Mass. And we'd fly the approach into Pittsfield, Mass. And then he said, "Come on, I'll guide you to the airport we want to be at." So we'd both shoot the ILS into Pittsfield, you know, and we'd have a ceiling, and then he'd take me through the valleys to get to this other airport. I can't believe we did these things, you know. It's just crazy.
What did he fly?
Chris started. He started with a beach. It wasn't a Baron. It was the beach single. What's it called? The beach.
Bonanza. Beach
Bonanza. Then he went to a P Baron, and after the P Baron, he got a Piper Cheyenne. I think it was a 2. Beautiful airplane. I was very jealous. And when I got my citation rating, he said, "I've never been jealous of anything you did except for this. You got your jet rating." He was already in the chair by then. He'd had his accident. That was just a horrible. Oh, that's what I got to tell you about. We crashed.
Who?
Me and Chris Reeve.
Seriously?
Very seriously. He says, "You want to go gliding?" I said, "Sure." He says, I can rent a glider for us out at Fox Field, or just out over the desert. So we drove to the desert. They towed us up to altitude in this glider. There were very few thermals, right? So we didn't get any lift. So we just glided around. And I thought, well, this is pretty cool. So then he sets up for the approach, and I don't know much about landing a glider. Do you slip a glider? I mean, you know, I don't know, but it's got these spoilers on it, apparently, to dump altitude quickly without gaining speed, because you only have one chance. And so we were coming into this airport, and I think he wasn't used to having another 170 pounds in the airplane. So I saw there was a field, like a cornfield, a road, and the runway. And I thought, we're not going to make this. We're not making the runway. And he wasn't standing, and I wasn't standing. I said, I'm letting him concentrate. And sure enough, we just settled down right onto the field, hit the road, bounced up over the road, landed on the runway. We kind of flown up a little bit again, and the wings bent, both wings bent down, and we just sat there in silence. No, I didn't want to say anything. And finally, he didn't say anything for a long time, and I said, well, you put it on the numbers, so that was good, right? But we totaled the glider, and I'm surprised we walked away.
Wow. Go figure. That's
I'd probably not tell the story if he was still with us. You know, we don't like those stories to get around when we did stupid things.
Yeah,
it wasn't stupid. I think he just misjudged. He just wasn't used to the weight. It was a hot day.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, yeah, this was fun, but I like having an engine in front of me. It's helpful. It's helpful when you get a little low and slow.
Exactly. You're sitting there looking, what do I push?
That was the only glider flight I ever took in my life, was that one.
Really?
I was done.
Oh, wow.
Well, okay, I've done that. I don't need to do that again. So there's another story for Tuesday.
Kind of like pilots and skydiving, right? Like, well, the engine's still running. Why would we do this?
When we did a movie called The Eagle Has Landed with Michael Caine, and I had a friend named Henry Carroll, who was my trainer for me playing an Army Ranger. And I went out with a Ranger battalion, night operations. And I was in good shape, thank God, because with no training, I was out there doing all-nighters in the mud and the swamp and all that stuff. And the day I was going to go skydiving for the first time, I got a phone call that Henry Shute, they were coming back from training mission, and Henry Shute and other guy Shute had entwined together, and they went right into the parade grounds. Neither chute opened.
Oh my
And
God.
thought, this is a message from a higher power to me not to go do this. So wow. I never went. Never went. Yeah. So
one other thing that we got requests from the last show is to talk that at some point, even though it's not necessarily flying related, but someone wants to hear about, or a bunch of people want to hear about you making 1941.
Oh yeah, I taught John Belushi what it's like to fly an airplane.
Belushi became Did you really?
Yeah, he had me. I got him in the airplane, and he wanted to know what did what. You know, I said, well, you pull the stick back, it goes up. You push it forward, it goes down. Hold it over, you can roll the airplane. You know, he wanted to know because he was playing this hot shit pilot. What was that? Was that a P-40 or a P-51 he had in the movie?
P-40.
Yeah. Yeah. But there was a 51 in it that took off from a field at one point, did a roll. I can't remember where.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, yeah, I gave John some lessons in how to fly.
You ever go up with him?
He didn't. I don't think he really had a taste for it. A lot of guys were scared. You know, Baryshnikov didn't want to go up. His girlfriend did, but he didn't want to go up.
You say Baryshnikov?
Yeah, yeah, he was
kidding.
Yeah, his girlfriend that wanted to go up was Jessica Lange, and he said no, she can't go. And he lived about a mile from the field I learned to fly. And at the time, I had the 180, so I flew it into that place called, it was the lakes above Danbury.
Candlewood.
Candlelight Farms
Oh,
Airport.
yeah.
and he had a house just nearby. We would go visit his house because he and Milos were very good friends. Milos Forman,
So
who directed Hair, you know, who
so
directed Amadeus and Hair and Cuckoo's Nest. And Milos came up with me, but he had to take 3 hits of a vodka bottle before he got in the airplane with me. He was so scared.
oh my God. And
A lot of these guys do things that terrify me, but they just flying this, they don't like it. They just don't want to be in an airplane.
and he's a Barishnikov would go or would not go?
Would not go.
Would not go.
No.
But Milos should go after he drank.
Milos should go. After 3 good hits off a vodka bottle, he got in the airplane. He said, I'm so terrified. I'll drink some vodka. And then Dorsey Wright, who was in the movie. Oh, I told you the story about hitting something during here. I think I already told you the C-130 story, didn't I? I was in the cockpit.
Yeah. Yes, you hit the camera.
Yeah, we hit the camera. And the DP, the director of photography, had a nervous breakdown because in Czechoslovakia, if you damaged equipment, you were arrested. So he thought he was going to be taken away because the equipment all belonged to the state, all to the government.
Oh my God.
Anyway, that was, yeah. But there was a lot. It was nice. One of the things about, you know, about being a little bit known was I was invited into cockpits that other people didn't get to be in, you know.
Yeah.
I told you I got to fly the 727 when I was playing D.B. Cooper. You
Yeah.
know, the guy, I played the first guy to ever hijack an airplane.
You're being kind by saying a little bit known. Like,
Well, we repainted with what's stuff called peel paint, just kind of a rubber-based paint you can peel off. We repainted a 747 that belonged to the San Diego Padres. So I got like 30 minutes of right seat time in a 727.
that's awesome.
And the strangest thing about a big airplane that really was most different was the trim wheel. This terrifying thing would go, it would spin real fast. God damn, that thing is scary looking. Make this big heavy noise, and when you push this trim, you know, the little trim wheel, that big gigantic wheel would turn.
Do you still go in, talk to when you fly, like when you go out there, talk to the pilots in the front?
Not much. I'll stop if they've got new equipment and chat a little bit.
You fly private out there, or do you fly like just regular fly airline when you go out?
Always airline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time when I would do a big movie when I co-starred with Harrison and Brad in Devil's Own. They flew me back they had to get me back for some reshoots. That was kind of nice to be in the back of the airplane. You know, it was my first private jet ride. You know,
That's
I was
awesome.
the only passenger, but I actually prefer it up front mostly.
Yeah.
I don't mind going slow. I just as soon take my time.
Oh yeah,
enjoy the ride from up front.
absolutely. I totally agree.
It's
That's great.
It's still something I'm sorry I'm not going to be flying much before I go, but I'll be back sooner than
Like I said, we'll come see you anyway. We'll make sure we find time to see you during your month of solitude up there in Maine.
Yeah, I'll show you the Cub. In fact, if you're ever over if I ever fly in, I'll show you the Aztec.
And the nearest airport's Keene, right?
Well, Aztec is sitting over at the airport. I would probably fly there. I'd want to go over to. Actually, I would love to go over with this. Charlie and I might go over because we're going to do what you and I talked about. We want to put an oxygen tank in the back.
Yep.
On a cradle, and just cut a hole and run the lines up front because our oxygen system has a little electronic changer that you can change the amount of oxygen you get.
Yep.
Because I like the cannula. I don't like that gigantic mustachy thing that they got going now.
Yeah.
But we figure the passengers don't need them. I just wanted it if I'm flying at 11 or 12,000 for a couple hours. I'd like to have it. If I want to go to 14 above some weather.
Makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. But I'm thinking if we run a line to each of us, that's all we need, and then a line, and just we'll put the thing on a pedestal pedestal.
Well, you use that. I sent you the pulse ox. You can try that thing, and you'll see a big difference. It's almost immediate.
Really?
Pulse ox for your finger. Oh, it's amazing. And then you feel so much better. I
do appreciate it. I also have to tell you how much I appreciate you looking into telling you about the oxygen thing too. That's very helpful.
Well, I'll look up anything that you need if you second opinion on anything with the airplane. I'm happy to help. Wait,
Well,
so remind me, if we fly up to see you, is Keene the closest?
for me, no, my home base is Romeo Uniform Tango, Rutland. It's got,
Oh, Rutland. I don't know
it's
why I
got,
thought Keene. Rutland.
it's
Okay.
got great approaches too. It's got an ILS to 19, LDA to 19, and it's got a VNAV, LNAV plus V, I guess, going into runway 1. But you don't want to go into runway 1 because it takes you right over Bromley ski area, and you're looking down the mountains and saying, I didn't realize this approach had me this close to the ground. 19's there, the runway you want.
No problem. That'll be awesome.
What are you flying? What would you be flying in?
The Bonanza.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What do you got in that? What are you using for what's your for navigation? What do you got in there?
I've got an Aspen and two of Avidynes.
Okay. Avidyne has communication in it now?
Yeah, they're the competitor to Garmin, so kind of the two all-in-ones.
Well, when I had an Avidyne in my Aztec, and it was only
no,
a moving map. They
No,
must have moved into radios and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's the competitor. They make a whole all-in-one.
I loved it. I thought it was a cool
It's
thing.
so incredibly easy to use. Like it's just, it's so easy. You just figure anything. You get thrown like a crazy hold, and it's like you just press a hold button, and it's like from here and how, and you're like beep beep beep, and it's like done. Here's your hold.
Wow. Well, this is kind of like that in the Garmin.
Yeah.
You have to push a couple of things, but
yeah. About the only difference is I think Garmin's gone more towards almost all touchscreen, and Avidyne kept the buttons so you can do either. You can be all
you can do either on the Garmin too. Yeah. But I need the buttons because in turbulence, you can send yourself onto another approach or another airport accidentally.
Yes.
It does have some fail-safe stuff. Do you really want to do this? Are you sure you want to? But I look forward to practicing again. I'll be practicing a lot on the TXI isn't as good because you can't really do a trip, but on the Garmin 750 app, you can really fly an airplane. It's pretty extraordinary. You can set where you are, how fast you're going, what altitude you're at, and you can play all day. You can fly approaches all day. So I'll be doing that.
Awesome.
I'll probably fly more approaches this summer than I will once I'm in the airplane, on the computer.
That's how you do it well. That's awesome. Yeah.
I do practice. I love to practice. What else I've been doing during COVID? I mean, that's another thing. All I've done is practice for the last 2 years. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Pam and I flew down to South Carolina for a week. That's my last trip in the airplane. There's nowhere to go. You have to put mask on in the restaurants, mask on when you go anywhere. Everything's closed. I can't wait to get back to just going out in the airplane and say, I'm going to go to LA and I'm going to stop. I got a trip planned for the fall. I want to stop and friends of mine in South Carolina, New Orleans. I want to go to Austin and eat myself through Austin. And then I want to go, maybe go see the airplane graveyard,
I've always wanted to do that in Tucson or around there.
Yeah, I had a DC-3 panel rebuilt for me there, and I lost it. Someone stole it. I had it all lit up and everything. It's like a coffee table, It's fantastic.
Wow. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. We did keep doing trips. We did trips during the pandemic out to national parks. We went out to Glacier, and we went out to Yellowstone, and it was great because there wasn't a lot of people.
Yeah.
It made it remarkably easy. We were out there. We're like, wait, this is safer than home. This is awesome.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping that if the show gets one more season after this, that's all I really want to do. I'm kind of, I don't know, it's strange. I just would rather fly and hang out with my family. I'm not really into being a gypsy anymore.
I totally understand. We've got a series planned, video series planned for this summer. We're going to do called No Magenta Line. We're going to take off and literally not have a plan. Like we're gonna start going until it's not like we're not going to have our navigator, so we whatever, but we're not going to have, there's never going to be a direct to. We're never going to know exactly where we're going. We're just going to keep wandering and look at cities and figure out where we want to, what airport we want to land at and spend the night and explore.
Well, that's pretty much the way I did it back in the day. I think I got more, when there was weather, of course, I would have my little chart case and I get my charts all organized for the next day's flight so I could fold them and unfold them perfect in flight. Particularly since in the 180, which I flew to LA for 1941, I didn't have an autopilot. So I hand flew that from Teterboro to Burbank.
That's awesome.
That was a great flight. That was a lot of fun. I think I didn't tell you this, but it was my first IMC in my life, I think. I just got my instrument rating. And so I took off from Teterboro and I was cleared to 8,000 feet. And it was 8,000 all the way to Ohio. I think I landed in Ohio somewhere. And I was so at 8,000 feet and I was so nervous, just so nervous that I would do something wrong, or just being in that whiteout by myself, you know.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
And I had an orange juice bottle that I peed in, and then I would pour it out the little side window. So when they said, okay, my N number was as 80, no, that was the Seneca, 4375 Tango was my airplane. And they said, 4375 Tango, descend and maintain 6,000. And I'm at 8. And I started descent, and at about 400 feet, I could see forever. I was flying in this one layer of clouds for 2 hours, terrified. And I could have been VFR the whole trip.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Those were the days. That was fun. That was a good trip. So, all right. So we'll just chat on Tuesday.
Tomorrow it will be a lot of fun.
Dan Aykroyd wanted to go up, but I never got him up either.
Who was that?
Dan Aykroyd. He was our tank commander. That tank crew was pretty good. It was me, Aykroyd, Mickey Rourke, and John Candy.
Oh,
that's for a tank crew.
No kidding. That's awesome. Oh, I love that.
I think
have you ever written anything?
What?
I know you do. You've written like shows and stuff like that and plays, etc. But have you done a book?
No, I'm going to do a book.
You definitely should. You definitely should.
Yeah, the bar is very high because my favorite books are written by really wonderful. David Niven wrote a gorgeous, 2 beautiful autobiographies. Alec Guinness's are very good. The ones that have a sense of humor. Charles Grodin wrote a wonderful, wonderful book. And the name of the book was, and this is what the kind of writing that I'd like to do. The name of the book is It'd Be So Nice If You Weren't Here. And, they were doing a movie in England, and all the actors took the tape off of the living room of somebody's house. You know, they weren't supposed to sit in their real living room. They were using the house, other parts of the house, and that was roped off, no actors allowed, kind of a thing, you know. And they, of course, pushed the tape aside, and there was Chuck Grodin and all the other actors sitting in her living room. And this very nice English lady came walking into the room and looked at them all and said, "It would be so nice if you weren't here." Meaning, get the fuck out of my living room. So he named his book, "It Would Be So Nice If You Weren't Here."
That's awesome.
Oh, you know, I did fly. That was kind of fun. I went to a film festival in Austin, and I flew. She needed a ride home, so I gave Allie McGraw a ride back to her city, that wonderful city up on the hill, and it's a gorgeous western city, and it's not Phoenix. I think it's where Gene Hackman retired to also.
Scottsdale?
No, it Plateau. There's a plateau name in it or something. I'll think of it by tomorrow. But I did give her a ride once.
That's awesome.
You and I can talk for hours about this shit. We'll have something to talk.
I can't wait.
It'll be fun. I have to remind myself that that flying around with celebrities is special to some people. To me, it's like these are, there's an old story where Liza Minnelli was asked, what was it like growing up in Hollywood? you know, and your mother would have these dinner parties, and Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly and all the great actors that come, you know, and James Cagney is all. And she said, what did I know? These are my mother's friends who came over and complained about their careers. That's what, you know, nobody was happy with their agent or their career, and all they did was complain. So to her, they weren't celebrities, you know.
Oh, no kidding. That's awesome.
I'll get my emails. They have a password. You jump on as soon as you're there.
Right, but if they have a higher speed one to pay for it.
Okay.
Do that. A lot of times they have like a premium version that gives you much better. That'll be
I
good
will get the premium. I'll send you the bill.
Boom. Exactly. Sent by a true actor. Absolutely.
Just remember, Saint Genesius is the patron saint of actors and thieves. That's how well respected we were over the years.
Apparently, actors and pilots are both cheap.
Are pilots known to be cheap? I guess they are.
Oh, really? Really? You mean pilots that will like literally fly to another state to get better gas prices? Like,
at some point, I guess the mathematics don't work, do they?
No, we don't really think that way.
But they are high right now. They are high, man.
Absolutely. It's crazy.
Yeah. I put on my Garmin, I'll put on my Garmin the, you know, you can put fuel prices or weather. I put fuel prices on. I just nothing but sixes and it's up past six in a lot of places.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before you go to Rutland, it's hard to get it up in the mountains there, so they charge high prices for gas there. There is a self-serve. There's a self-serve pump though, which is $1 a gallon less. You know, so we'll put our heads together.
Yeah, we got to get your blocking set.
No, I don't have books and stuff.
I'm gonna put an X on the floor of your hotel room.
Every room has a desk and a chair.
And then I'm gonna put a piece of tape next. You got to put a piece of tape next to that camera because you're not looking at the camera again. There you go.
Hey, baby. I'll look at the tape. You just have such a nice face. Why don't they put the camera in the middle where I'm looking at you? Can't you lean way over toward where my camera is? Look there now. Look.
How about now? Now you're looking the right way.
I have acted with more tape. You have no idea. I did a film called Deep Rising. We had sea monsters chasing us and everything, and we had to look frightened at pieces of tape. You know, it's just, it's all such a sham.
It's awesome. Absolutely awesome.
I will see you tomorrow at
what's
our 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. What time?
8 o'clock Eastern. Get on 7:40, 20 minutes early.
7:40. I'm going to put a little thing. Little call. Okay. See you later.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
And so that was another great behind the scenes episode of a pre-show meeting with Treat Williams for one of his SocialFlight Live experiences. Treat was truly one of the most amazing and inspirational individuals I have ever met, and he will be sorely, sorely missed. And so with that, I leave you all and thank you for everything that you do for General Aviation and wish you all blue skies.